You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday to you. Thank you for tuning in to another podcast of All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I am your host, of course. Obviously, this is podcast number 22. So, again, thank you for joining me today. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, I thank you for spending your time with me. If you're listening to the restream of this podcast on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like, comment on the podcast. New podcasts will air every Wednesday and Saturday, so please feel free to share the podcast on any of the social media outlets that you use. I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. So, I don't know about you guys, but here in Atlanta, it has been raining the past couple of days. I want to say, since Sunday? I love a good rainstorm, though, you know. That's when you take your best power naps. Or is that just me? You know, you crack that window, get the nap going. You'll be asleep in no time. No time at all. So, before I get into the podcast, hey, I want to go ahead and share some giveaways that we have going on here at the All Things Sports with Mike Davis podcast. So right now you have to forgive me as I'm trying to find it. Forgive me, people. Please forgive me. But, yeah, we have a giveaway going on where I don't know how many of you all are shoe heads out there. You know, I am being, been a shoe head since I can remember. But, we're running a promotion with ATL Sneak Clean. And what that entails is the Air Jordan 5 Fire Red giveaway. So, if you go onto the Facebook page, All Things Sports with Mike Davis, you'll find the rules there. There should be a post there with the rules and whatnot. You will comment with your shoe size. Then you will go to Instagram and you will follow the two pages, All Things Sports, which is mine, spelled out ALTH_INGSSPORTS. And you will also follow ATL Sneak Clean. Sneak, that is ATLSEEKCLEAN. You will follow those two pages. Then you will go to my YouTube page. And all you have to do is subscribe there. That will be it. Now, I will be checking to see who actually followed the rules, and one lucky winner, well, one lucky person who did follow the rules will win a pair of Air Jordan 5 Fire Reds. The winner will be selected on June 1st. Be sure to look out for monthly giveaways and listen to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And good luck to those of you out there that plan on getting into the contest. So, yeah. And also, that is not the only giveaway we have. We have also another giveaway. So, another one lucky winner will receive an authentic NBA jersey and a hat to match. All you have to do is go and subscribe and follow All Things Sports with Mike Davis on YouTube and on Instagram. Now, once done, comment done on a recent YouTube video of All Things Sports with Mike Davis, and it's that simple. Go and follow, and you'll be automatically entered So good luck to you. And that contest ends May 31st. The winner will be announced June 3rd. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. We all know there's not much sports going on, right now due to the coronavirus situation. But LeVar Ball has, made his appearance yet again in in sports mainstream. He can't stay far. Well, he can't stay gone long. I like LeVar though. I like LeVar Ball. I like his character. Well, LeVar Ball came out. Well, he made a statement saying that Zion Williamson benefited from Lonzo Ball. He said that Zion benefited from Lonzo's play and wouldn't have garnered the same attention if it wasn't for his son. Now, he said, take my boy out of the situation and see how much buzz you get, LeVar Ball said. He'd probably still be out for the season. Ball added that Lonzo's play was essential to unlocking Zion's game. I don't care how fast you can run and jump. If you ain't got nobody to get the ball to you, guess what you're going to be doing? Running and jumping out there for nothing. That was LeVar Ball's take on Zion Williamson and his son playing, before the whole COVID-19 situation happened. And he makes a valid point to an extent. Now, when you're a guy like Zion, you want a point guard that can get the ball to you. And that's pretty much what Lonzo was doing. His three-point shot came along this season. I know they were in the race for the last playoff spot. Now, I believe it was Memphis. It was between Memphis, Portland, and New Orleans. New Orleans was making a push. I don't know if they would have gotten that spot. I would have loved to have seen the Lakers and the Pelicans face off in the playoffs. That would have been something to watch. But, LeVar Ball, he's not that far. He's not reaching that much. I get what he's saying. But I still think that Zion still would be, doing his thing, even if it wasn't Lonzo getting the ball to him. You still got Drew Holiday down there in New Orleans. So I don't think it was just Lonzo Ball, but I get what he's saying. I get his point. If you know basketball, then you get his point as well. He also went on to say how look at Kyle Kuzma's game is suffering. Kuzma went from averaging 18 last year to, I believe, 12 or 11 points this year. And he contributes that to Lonzo, his son, not being in LA anymore. And, again, I get it. He's reaching a little bit, just a little bit. But I get his point. So, sticking with the NBA, Spalding is going away. So, the NBA has announced that they will be switching from Spalding to Wilson as its official basketball manufacturer for the 2021-2022 season, and so forth. So starting the 2021 season, Wilson will take over as the league's official ball manufacturer. Spalding currently holds that distinction. Fortunately for players and purists, the new ball will be made with the exact specifications of the current one, as the league revealed in a press release. Now, Wilson will manufacture the NBA, WNBA, and NBA G League game balls using the same materials, 8-panel configurations, and performance specifications as current game balls, and will also source the same leather currently used in the NBA. The NBA and its players will work jointly with Wilson to develop and approve the new game ball. Maintaining the same leather and specifications of the current ball is absolutely critical. At the collegiate level, different conferences use different balls, and the results vary wildly. Take Lonzo Ball, for instance. He shot significantly better using Wilson's composite ball, which is favored by the Pac-12, than he did with others. All basketballs have different grips and feel, but by and large, players prefer the leather ball that the NBA has consistently used. So, I never thought I'd see Spalding on the outside. Now, I did read that Wilson, at one point in time, like 30 plus years ago, used to be the official ball of the NBA. Now, I'm 37, so this has to be close to 40 years ago. And since I can remember, Spalding has been the official brand of the NBA game balls. Now, one thing I had no idea, I knew it, but I didn't know it. I didn't know that different conferences use different balls. I had no idea that was the case. But I knew I've seen some teams use Nike balls. Other teams were using Wilson balls. So subconsciously, I just turned that off. So I've seen it, but I didn't pay any attention. But reading it is just wow that different schools use different balls. It's like football. All teams don't use Nike footballs. Now, I know that. You'll see some teams use Wilson footballs. I've seen that. And then you'll see some teams with the Nike football that have the team logo on it. That has to play a major part in a guy coming to your school. Think about it. Now, for those of you that have held an official game ball, it's not as, for lack of a better word, grippy. It's not as grippy as a street ball. Now, when you're playing with a street ball, you got a little more bounce with it. You can grip it. Most people who can't palm a ball can palm a ball with one hand with an official street ball, but they can't do it with an official indoor game ball. I have an arena game ball somewhere around here. I purchased before. I was going to get some players to sign it, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to. We were told no autographs to an event I went to one time. But there is a difference for those of you that don't know, that haven't held official game balls. There is a difference in feel. And remember back in, I want to say it was 2006, when the NBA tried this before. But this was Spalding that did it. Remember when they made the different ball? They changed it to a different type of leather, and players hated it. I think at the All-Star break, they ended up bringing the old ball back. Now, the NBA messed up big time that time because they had like ex-players testing the ball as opposed to current players. Have no idea why you would do that at all. That made no sense to me at all. But looks like, not looks like, it is. Spalding is out. Spalding is out and Wilson is in. But that is mind-boggling that different conferences use different balls. I mean, if I'm used to playing with a certain ball in high school, then I need to play with that same ball going forward. So there you have it about the official game balls being changed out in the NBA. So I'm going to keep this basketball-wise before I take a break. By the way, there's no All Things Atlanta today. No All Things Atlanta segment. It's going to be a short show. Not much going on. I don't want to hold you. I know you got things to do. Here we are Wednesday afternoon. If you're in the South or in Atlanta, it's raining, you want to catch some of that breeze, maybe go outside, puff a cigar, some whiskey or something. I won't hold you, I promise you. All right, so sticking with basketball, apparently there will be no Big Three this year. So the 2020 season of Ice Cube's Big Three Basketball League has been canceled amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Now, we tried everything in our power to give our fans a nice 2020 season, but with a long list of obstacles, we decided to shift our focus to having a great 2021 season with our fans in the stand, Ice Cube announced Monday in a news release. Our goals from day one has been to provide a remarkable experience full of top-level competition and entertainment. Now, year 4 of the Big Three was set to introduce major changes to professional 3-on-3 hoops, including a lower age minimum, a red ball known as a fireball, plus the introduction of an entirely new sport known as Fireball 3 as a result of his innovation product. Now, I have no idea what this fireball is, but I wouldn't mind seeing what it's about. I couldn't even tell you what it's about right now. I had no idea that they were bringing a new concept into the game. I knew about the age minimum that was, they had required a certain age. I think you had to be 27 to come into the Big Three league. But I did read, in the past months that Ice Cube was going to lower the age. Guys can come in. I honestly don't know how I feel about that part. I kind of like it the way it is. It's almost like, you had your time in the NBA. So now let's go to the Big Three. And we can't really run a full court anymore. We're just older guys trying to get a workout in. So let's just play a half court, take it out after a score, and may the best team win. The Big Three, I didn't know what to expect of it when it first happened, when it first came out. But I remember during it wasn't the first season, I believe it was the second year, I actually went to a game in Philadelphia. Now, I didn't go to Philadelphia for that game. I was up in D.C. for something else, and I said, well, I might as well drive up to Philly and check out the Big Three. So, watching it live wasn't that bad, and it was a lively crowd. I have taken a liking to the Big Three in the summer months when there's nothing going on but baseball, and you got your NASCAR races going on. It's something to get you over that hump until football starts back playing and whatnot. So I'm a Big Three guy. I'm for it. I like it. I enjoy it. Now I don't go seeking the Big Three. Like when I'm at home, I can recall last year when I'm just lounging around, relaxing. I'm off work, and if it's on television, then I'm sit it there and I'll watch it. I saw Gilbert Arenas in a couple games last season. So shout out to the Big Three, but there'll be no Big Three basketball this year. They will return next year because of the coronavirus situation going on, and it's unfortunate, but I understand it. It is what it is. So look, guys, I'm going to take a break right here, and I'm going to catch you on the other side. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. All right, guys, welcome back. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. Glad you can join me on this Wednesday. New podcast typically will air Wednesday and Saturday. Trying to be on time this week with my podcast deliveries. As I sit here looking at a replay of Skip and Shannon on YouTube, talking about the Last Dance. I haven't watched the last 2 episodes of The Last Dance. I saw the previous weeks where Scotty kind of, quit on the team and whatnot. And what I'm about to say might disappoint some people. I've heard what took place in the last 2 episodes and whatnot, and the whole Horace Grant situation. I'm not going to get into that. I'd rather say that for the podcast for Saturday, but I want to say that I saw some people were saying that this was the best sports documentary they've ever seen. And this is what the world needed. Now, at the time, I can agree with that part. This might be what the world needed right now because of the coronavirus situation, but it's not the best sports doc I've ever seen. I've seen plenty of other sports doc. I mean, heck, I'll take the 92 Dream Team sports documentary over this Bulls documentary. And reason being is I already knew a lot of this stuff that they're showing. So to the sports heads that are like me, they eat, breathe, live sports. A lot of this stuff we already knew. Maybe except for the little tidbits like, well, I can't even say it because I already knew I read the Jordan Rules book by I keep forgetting the guy named Sam. That's his name, Sam Smith. I read that book years ago. I already knew it's very well documented in that book the problems with Michael Jordan and Horace Grant. This has been documented. It's not nothing new. Now, I see Horace is coming out and getting upset or whatever. I learned little tidbit things here and there, like Jordan wouldn't allow him to eat on a team plane. It's not something I necessarily needed to know, but I knew that there was some type of history between Grant and Jordan. So, but for the kids that's coming up and they never saw Michael Jordan play and they don't understand his impact on the game, I get why you would say this is the best sports doc you ever seen. But I would highly advise you, if you want to see a good sports doc, go and watch the Dream Team sports documentary. And maybe that was because I like that a little more. Maybe because I didn't know things that I know now after watching it. Like, you look at Michael Jordan, and you just learn all these. You learn he was kind of an a-hole as a person. Now, I already knew that. If you don't know it, go and watch the Chameleonaire situation on YouTube, and that'll tell you what you need to know about Michael Jordan. But with the Dream Team, Michael Jordan made a statement. He said the best game he ever played in wasn't even a basketball game. It wasn't a real game. It was practice. It was a game in practice against the other Dream Team members. And he said they played it like it was a real game. I believe they had 12-minute quarters, and no one changed teams. And Michael said that is the best game that he'd ever been a part of. It was the best game he ever played in was the game no one saw. Is how he pretty much put it. So, again, I get why some people would say this is the best sports doc they've seen. Sports documentaries always aren't the greatest put together. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed. The first two episodes where it started off, I thought I was, about to sit down and I was ready for some greatness to happen. But I will agree with what Horace Grant did say, though. This was supposed to be about the 98 season. Why are we going back bringing Horace Grant in and talking about your rookie year, Jordan that is, Jordan's rookie year with the coke and all that going on, his rookie year with the women and the drugs. I don't like the flashbacks of the documentary going back to, the older finals. I know what happened then. And I do, like I said, I understand why the director of the documentary might have taken that route to show people that don't know a lot about Michael Jordan and some of the things those Bulls teams went through, to bring them in and show them what they were doing back in, those times. But I didn't learn nothing new from going back and looking at that. Granted, Michael has 6 finals, and he didn't play in any Game 7 in the NBA Finals, but there were a couple that he had to be bailed out on. One being the John Paxson shot. People always forget John Paxson. I've heard people confuse. They mix up Steve Kerr for the John Paxson shot against Phoenix when Paxson put him away. That wasn't Steve Kerr, people. That was John Paxson who hit the game-winning shot. It was the last play, second to last play, where Jordan inbounded the ball. The ball went back to Jordan. Jordan got to Scottie. Scottie went across the timeline to Grant. They doubled Grant. I forgot who. I don't know if it was Barkley that went down to double him. Somebody went to double Grant because he was down on the block. And Paxson was left wide open. Grant found him. Paxson knocks in the game in the 3. Phoenix comes back for one last shot. Horace Grant blocks it. Bulls win their 3rd straight NBA title. That was not Steve Kerr. I've heard people confuse that. Steve Kerr hit the game-winning shot later on in the finals, not against Phoenix. I did learn one thing, that I don't know why George Karl didn't put Gary Payton on Michael Jordan. I thought that's just the game plan Seattle was going to roll with, And now Jordan kind of dismissed it, saying that he wasn't worried about Gary Payton. But if you go back and look at his numbers when Payton was guarding Jordan, his numbers came down significantly when Seattle won those 2 games, as opposed to when the Bulls won their first 3 of their finals. Jordan's numbers dropped. So I wonder if you're George Karl, if you're kicking yourself, if you had to just listen to Gary Payton, who said from the beginning he wanted Jordan and he wouldn't put him on him, But it is what it is. I'm going to watch the last 2 episodes this week of the Last Dance. Like I said, I just wasn't that pressed to watch it. A lot of the stuff I already know that happened. And speaking of the Last Dance, there were 2 guys who didn't participate in the interview. They had to convince one to do it. One being John Stockton. I read they had to really convince him and go at him hard to do the piece. Apparently he's in it, and at first he said he didn't want to do a Michael Jordan puff piece. I get it. Karl Malone is being killed on social media. Now this is something I had already knew. I knew about this years ago. And for some reason, this is a lot of ball players back in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s. If you just do your research on some of these guys, and find out about how a lot of them were deadbeat dads, oh man, you would not like. You probably wouldn't like 80% of these guys. So Karl Malone is getting killed on social media because of he fathered a baby with a 13-year-old when he was 20. I believe Karl was in college at Louisiana Tech. It was Louisiana Tech he went to, I believe. I believe that's the same school my man Paul Millsap, former Hawk, went to. Shout out to Paul Millsap. But anyway, though, Malone's been getting killed for that. Apparently, a lot of people didn't know this. I was on social media, and I saw it going up and down timelines and people just speculating this. I know this is not why he didn't take part in the Last Dance. You just got to use common sense here. But people find out a little bit of information and they run with it, and they think that he didn't want to get crucified for statutory rape and then being a deadbeat dad, because I think the family tried to work something out where he only had to pay, I believe it was $200 a month. Now, he's in the NBA this time, and he said that is too much money to pay a month. All he had to do was pay $200 a month and take care of the kid's medical bills. Now, the kid, I believe, went on to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was an O-lineman, I believe. I can't think of his name because he doesn't have Malone's last name. I think his last name was Bell. Don't quote me on that. But, yeah, Karl Malone was an A1 D-bag. I mean, there's no other way you can put it. You shouldn't have been messing around with a 13-year-old girl anyway. I'm going to be honest here. And I'm not condoning this at all, because I have daughters, and I probably would end up in jail if this was my daughter in a situation. At that age, with a 20-year-old man, you're going to have to go through hell and water to stop me from getting my hands on this man. Some places in the country, especially down south, that's how some of them dudes roll. Look, I'm just a messenger. I don't condone it. But this was a well-kept secret for a long time, and I'm surprised it's just really getting out for real. And still, it's kind of taking a back seat still now that the Last Dance is over. It was hot for like 24 hours. if that. I'll say 12 hours after the Last Dance aired, when people noticed Karl Malone wasn't in it. Him fathering a child with a 13-year-old girl, and it's horrible. I can't even defend the guy. It's one of the most despicable things you can do as a person. You took advantage of a child, and you shouldn't have been in that situation. But you got some other guys out there that they not as bad as Karl Malone. They're deadbeats like Karl, but Karl took it to another level, being 20 messing with a 13-year-old. So like Isaiah Thomas, a lot of people don't know that Isaiah Thomas has another kid, outside of his relationship. Now I think Isaiah Thomas, former Detroit Piston player Isaiah Thomas. Now remember, well, not even remember, I'm pretty sure people don't even know this. Before he got married, he had a side baby with somebody. Like, I think the kid was born, or it was brought to his attention, I want to say like days before his wedding. You can go online and look it up. Not sure how it went, but I'm pretty sure it's something along those lines. Larry Bird, same, another one. Larry Bird has a kid out there that he does not claim, says it's not his. Well, I think he didn't say it wasn't his. He just doesn't claim the kid. He acknowledged that he had a outside kid somewhere. But he's in there. Dr. J and Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones of the Atlanta Braves. They're kind of in the same boat where they were married to somebody, had an outside baby. The wife tells them, if you want the marriage to continue, you have to disassociate yourself with that kid. And that's what those two did, Dr. J and baseball player Chipper Jones. So, like I'm saying, and this stuff is out there. You can go online and you can look at this stuff, and I double check a lot of this stuff. I don't want to be out here just saying nonsense that's not true. I read this in Chipper Jones' book, and he admitted to this, that he had fathered an outside kid outside of his marriage. And I remember when that happened here in Atlanta, that was all in the news. I remember that was on the local 6 o'clock news. Chipper Jones fathered a baby, and he didn't go deep into it like he did in his book, saying how his wife gave him an ultimatum, and ultimately he took it. I'm sorry. He stayed with his wife, and he disassociated himself from the kid. He paid child support and left it at that. But he's kind of fixed that now, and he's made amends, and he's in that kid's life, and he ended up ending the marriage. Now, Dr. J, I don't know what happened with his situation, but I do know that he fathered a kid, and his wife told him the same thing. You don't have another kid outside of this marriage. So deal with that as you may. Another guy also missing from the doc was Byron Russell. Now, reading about why he was missing, there's no reason. No one can get in touch with him at all. So I'm pretty sure he felt the same way John Stockton felt. He didn't want to do a puff piece. And hey, look, I give Byron Russell this. Whether it was a push off or not, he didn't complain. I respect that. He took it like a man, and he went to his bench and went on with his life. I haven't heard Byron Russell say nothing about that shot. I haven't heard of Byron Russell, honestly, since that shot. I haven't seen him since. I don't know where he's at. But, so, yeah, that's Byron Russell. So, yeah, those are the two Jazz players that weren't in the documentary that aired. And, before I close out this podcast, short podcast this week, I got to talk about the idiots that play for the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks. There have been a lot of NFL players in trouble with the law this week. Last week, I should say. All right, well, there are two NFL players that got into some trouble down in Florida. Now, both have posted bond, so they're back on the streets. New York Giants cornerback DeAndre Baker and Seattle Seahawks cornerback Quentin Dunbar, they're in a little bit of trouble. So there was a situation stemming from an incident that occurred Wednesday on May 13th. Now, Baker has been charged with 4 counts of armed robbery with a firearm and 4 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, while Dunbar has been charged with 4 counts of armed robbery. Per the police report, Baker took money and watches from victims while armed with a semi-automatic firearm. Dunbar allegedly assisted Baker in taking the money and valuables from the attendees at a party in Miramar, I believe that's how you say it, or Miramar, Florida. The pair were allegedly hanging out at a cookout when an argument ensued, resulting in Baker revealing a semi-automatic firearm. Baker allegedly directed a third member wearing a red mask to shoot a person who entered the party, but the gun was not fired. One witness told police that Baker and Dunbar lost over $70,000 at a party in Miami days earlier from a high-stakes card game. So another witness also said that those involved in the robbery left in 3 different vehicles, a Mercedes-Benz, a Lamborghini, and a BMW, which were pre-positioned for immediate departure from the scene of the crime. The argument allegedly started over a gambling dispute. How dumb are you? How dumb are you? You guys are NFL players. Now, I believe one of the guys is going into his 2nd year. So you just pretty much just said, I'm just going to throw my whole career away, my whole life away, because I lost $70K. Stop gambling if you can't. If you can't stand to lose the money, stop gambling. Please. Come on. And then you get these high-end cars as your getaway car. Do you know how easily you're spotted driving a Lambo away from a robbery? Really? A Lamborghini? I'm surprised they didn't pinpoint you back all the way to wherever you went in the Lambo. Do you know how many people on the street go, wow, that's a Lambo right there? Even on the highway, wow, nigga, that Lambo right there. A Lambo is not a vehicle people see every day. A Lambo is not a vehicle people see every month. For some people, a Lambo is not a vehicle you see once a year. Really? You use a Lambo as your getaway car? Wow. All right, then. I guess. That stupid people do stupid crimes. And this was one of those situations. Let's see. What else? No, I'm not even going to talk about this next story. I'm going to end my podcast here. I have no words for stupidity and that nature. You're an NFL player. Now, I get the rookie. You might not be making the money that some other people are making, but you're still making more than the average American. You should be fine. Now, I remember, I don't know what the rookie scale is. I remember it used to be you got to pay a rookie at least $400,000, or that was the league minimum, $400,000. So let's say the guy was making the league minimum, $400K. Let's say with income taxes, they took out half of that. So you go home with $200K. You made $200K last season, at least. At least. Let's say you lost $70K. You lost to $70,000. So you got $130K. At least. At least. After taxes. And after you blew the money, gambling. $130K. There are people out here, and I know it's a cliche. I know people will say this all the time. People will love to be in your shoes. I'm sorry. I have to say, I would love to be in your shoes, making that kind of money. Just stupidity over just throw your whole life away for nothing, for nonsense, just to prove a point. And I don't know what that point was. Stupid people do stupid things. That's all I can say. All right, so our stat line of the week, all sports leagues with a big fat 0 Because nobody played any games this week, or haven't in a while. That's how we feel about that. So, hey, look, guys, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for taking your time to include my podcast into your day. If you're listening to the restream of this podcast on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like, and comment on the podcast. New podcast will air every Wednesday and Saturday on Spotify. So please share the podcast on any of the social media outlets that you use. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I'm out. Peace.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.